Welcome to the Know, I'm Mika.
I'm John.
It didn't take an apocalyptic multiple movie crossover event to wipe out the struggling DC cinematic universe. All it took was some bad reviews, unhappy executives, and weirdly enough, the success of Wonder Woman.
Reports are in over the weekend that Warner Brothers and DC are now officially pivoting away from the DCEU. Pivoting is a nice way of saying running away screaming. And will no longer be focusing on trying to construct a huge interconnected universe. So goodbye DCEU, you had a good run.
Bye.
Not really, but hey, we have the Dooku universe to look forward to as well, so don't worry.
That should make all those rumors about multiple Joker spin-offs over the last few months make a tiny bit more sense. Maybe?
Sure.
Their strategy moving forward is still a bit unclear, but it seems like they're going to be doing a whole lot more standalone films and spin-offs in addition to the Justice League storyline they've already started.
This might be a bit confusing to audiences, but they've probably already been a bit confused about what the hell's going on in these movies, as it already is anyway.
The reports of this new identity crisis come from Vulture, who had to sit down with a couple of executives from DC, Chief Creative Officer Jeff Johns and DC Entertainment President Diane Nelson, about what their plans for the future of DC movies is. And those plans include less movies from the current DCEU storyline, so yeah.
From the sound of it, they're going to have two different types of movies. Some that are still in the current Justice League continuity, and others that can basically be whatever they want.
Oh.
Nelson said, "Our intention, certainly moving forward, is using the continuity to help make sure nothing is diverging in a way that doesn't make sense, but there's no insistence upon an overall storyline or interconnectivity in that universe."
So what exactly is the reason for DC finally washing their hands of the DCEU as we know it? Well, surprisingly enough, it's Wonder Woman. Not only was the movie commercially successful at $800 million it earned worldwide, it brought in more than Suicide Squad and almost as much as Batman v Superman with a considerably smaller budget, but it also performed well with critics, scoring as one of the best reviewed comic book movies ever made of all time ever.
Yep, for Johns, Nelson, and other executives at DC and Warner Brothers, part of this was because the movie had no connection at all to what they'd already established in Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Suicide Squad. Which begs the question, why do all of them need to connect so badly anyways?
So that's going to be the way they tackle things from here on out. Johns went on to explain about Wonder Woman and other upcoming films. The movie's not about another movie. Some of the movies do connect the characters together, like Justice League. But like with Aquaman, our goal is not to connect Aquaman to every movie.
Okay, so that covers the Justice League-centric films, but that's not all they'll be doing. In addition to that storyline, DC will also be doing a number of standalone projects. If you're wondering how those connect, or don't, Nelson's explained. Moving forward, you'll see the DC movie universe being a universe, but one that comes from the heart of the filmmaker who's creating them.
It's official. The real cinematic universe was the universe that was inside you all along.
I hate that joke so
Also
much.
the friends you made along the way.
No.
Well, while the strategy does sound a bit hazy and hippie, it seems like the intent is to still have those tentpole crossover films, but at the same time, leaning into unique standalone stories that aren't weighed down by the baggage of the universe that they've thrown together. Did you like that?
That was good.
Sound effect?
So, you've got the Justice League story and a bunch of other universes that can do whatever they want, so long as they don't conflict too much with what we already know. According to Johns and Nelson, those will be driven by visionary writers and directors with really cool ideas that they probably haven't hired yet and are hoping that can save their asses.
That should pave the way for some truly interesting takes on some of our favorite characters. I love that we're using the descriptor interesting.
Yeah.
But considering they want to at least try to stick close to the established continuity, it probably means we won't see any of the wackier comic stories like Superman Red Sun.
Still, the idea to give filmmakers the freedom to breathe a little bit is a new approach in the modern world of cinematic universes, and that's part of why Jenkins' Wonder Woman shines so much. Rather than trying to force everything into a narrow vision, she just focused on a character and made a nice standalone film.
It's a bit different than how Marvel handles their cinematic properties, and it might prove to be a smart play for DC. Their heroes are arguably more iconic than some of what Marvel is working with, thanks to Marvel giving the film rights away for some of their most recognizable heroes early on in the game.
They want X-Men back so much.
So much!
They can't have them though.
But they should.
They sold them, and then they also did bad things to Fantastic Four.
No.
And to be honest, Marvel sort of has the cinematic universe thing locked down completely anyway. This could help DC stand out and deliver things we haven't seen before. And it almost sort of makes these standalone movie ideas more like, well, comics. That's a thing, with the occasional crossover event.
These comments contextualize months and months of rumors and conflicting statements about upcoming DC movies. Last month, the reports surfaced about a Martin Scorsese-produced Joker origin pick that wouldn't, keyword wouldn't, star Jared Leto.
Plus, director Matt Reeves made some truly odd statements about whether or not the Batman would be a part of the DCEU as well. In an interview with KCRW, Reeves said, "Well, I have a vision for a way to do something with that character, Batman, that feels like it resonates with me personally, and a perspective that can grow out into other things. When they, Warner Brothers, approached me, what they said was, look, it's a standalone, it's not part of the extended universe."
Reeves later clarified some of those comments on Twitter, but looking back at what he said, it actually totally jives with what Johns and Nelson have said about the new direction of DC movies going forward. He wrote, "In my comments from a while back about not being a part of the DCEU, I was talking about the Batman being a story specifically about Batman, not about the others in the universe. That it wouldn't be filled with cameos servicing other stories, that it would be a Batman story."
Wow, the prospect of having separate universes might confuse some fans. It's not any more or less confusing than what big movie franchises have already been doing for the last few years anyway. There have been so many stops and starts, especially in the comic book realm, where we've seen characters like Spider-Man and Batman have their own stories, but also be a part of an ongoing one as well.
So we'll see if this proves to be a better strategy for DC going forward, but one thing we can say for sure, it'll probably be interesting to watch it unfold, to say the least.
Try Green Lantern again. You didn't do a good job.
Just go back and do that one over.
Just do Green Lantern again. What do you guys think of the DC abandoning the super connected DCEU in favor of more standalone stories? Let us know in the comments.
For future updates on comic book movie news, remember to like this video, and if you're new around here, subscribe to the Know. Washing their hands of the DCEU as we know it? Well, surprisingly enough, it's Wonder Woman. Not only was the movie commercially successful at $800 million earned worldwide, but it brought in more than Suicide Squad and almost as much as Batman v Superman with a considerably smaller budget and... hold on, that was such a long sentence. Okay.